Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Roofball Federation of America's official podcast. This is episode
Accept
13.
no imitations.
That's right. Actually, if you do find some imitations out there, we'd love to hear about it, frankly. That would be amazing. On today's episode, we have some newcomers to the game. Susan and Beth Willis. They have been around for a bit, Adam, but why don't you tell us a little bit about how they got involved with Roofball?
Well, I guess technically my mom got involved by buying the house back in 1981. That was her original involvement. And since then, obviously, the biggest thing she's done is allowed us to continue to throw projectiles at her house twice, three times, sometimes up. I think we had one where 5 times in a year we had a tournament there. And obviously, she's been a massive support, not just in terms of allowing us to play there, but making food and entertaining people and taking orders for food in the middle of tournaments. And one of my favorite things, every time we're about 20 minutes in, she asks when we're going to want lunch, which has been at the same time since 1999, but she always has to ask.
You never
And
know.
then Beth, Beth was a person that kind of every once in a while you think, oh no, I'm not, there's no sexism in my body. Why would you even think that? And then your little sister says, can I play roofball? And you go, why didn't I ever think that maybe women might want to play roofball too? Fortunately, she did that in our second tournament ever, but that really did create a whole aspect of the game that would probably not have been there because I would have been blind to it. And then she's won a ton of women's championships, and done sideline reporting, saying the national anthem is just a huge part of roofball. So yeah, obviously they've been in it from the beginning and are enormous parts of the history of roofball and roofball going forward.
Yeah, I think it's funny, and we'll talk to him a little bit about everything we just did. But I think it's interesting in the 2008 World Championship video that went viral and everything. There's three people that everybody kind of that talks about that hadn't seen it and got introduced to the sport that way. One is Dano, obviously from the performance and everything, but secondarily it is Beth and it is your mom, because they're kind of unique characters to that environment, right? So normally, even we have a lot of people comment on like how homey it feels, but how professionally it's done, well, with announcers and multiple cameras and changing angles and graphics and all that stuff. But no matter what sport or game you're watching that's done like that, whether it is a multi-billion-dollar business or not, you never see the owner of the stadium there. That's I'm trying not to say little old lady, but walking around and trying to serve everybody, make sure everybody's having a great time. So very unique. And then of course Beth, always, as you mentioned, multiple hats in the ring, right? From playing to sideline reporting to singing the national anthem to doing various other things, either before the game or during or after the game. So obviously very, important people. I mean, it's a stupid thing to say in your life, of course, but to the game of roofball as well. So it's a very fun conversation. We talk about a lot of things. We get some good stories from both of them about things that have occurred over the last few decades, and a look into the future on what they think might be next for roofball, which is all pretty amazing. Yep. So with that, no further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, folks, here we are. I think a few weeks ago, we talked to what I call the second family of roofball. Here is the first family of roofball, a bunch of Willises on my screen. We're going to talk to Susan Willis, who everybody knows, but owns Willis Park, and is maybe the most instrumental person in all of roofball history for letting the game actually, happen. The home has been host of at least 55 tournaments by our count. And that's happened over 25 years, which I have to say, Susan, for a person who's only 29, that's pretty good.
I know.
Beth, 18-time woman champion, and the only woman ever to finish in they say top 3, but actually top 2 an entire tournament. So without further ado, Adam, you know these people well. Have any questions for them?
I do, all roofball specific, thank goodness. So there are a lot of bodies buried between these three. So let's talk roofball today. The more in-depth ones will come later on. But so I want to start with Mom. Mom, what is your earliest roofball memory?
Wow. The rugby ball being thrown on the roof when we got back from Europe.
So
back
1989-ish?
1989, 1980, June. No. June of 1989.
That's crazy. Beth, how about you?
It's gotta be post high school that really like hits me the most. You know, having the Volvo in the driveway, and really like when it was starting to come to fruition was probably when my brain first started like absorbing, and it was like, oh, okay, this is the thing.
The Volvo is a hot topic nowadays. And for those that don't know, that was your car, Beth. This is not on the list of questions, but I just got to ask, how did you get talked into putting your car there?
I didn't get talked into anything. My car was there, and they decided to play some roofball, and it became part of the game. And then after a while, it was like, you got to keep it because it's part of the game. And then I kept it because it was part of the game.
Well, and even further than that, I think it was even more like, Beth's not here. We don't have her keys. The car's in the driveway. I guess we're going to play with it. -1 if it hits the car. Don't let it hit the car. That's pretty much the way it went, I think.
How many
And by the way,
people?
I'd like to point out that hitting my car was 4 less than going over the roof. Like over the roof where there's like grass and trees. Oh, that's fine. Hit Beth's car. That's -1, mister.
Yeah, but then the throwing it over the house delays the game. That's why it's so bad.
That's
Hitting the
true.
car
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
delay
the real
game, you're
sin.
fine.
I mean,
So Beth's not there. Everybody's like, cool, we'll damage her car, but you shouldn't. Here's a minus point. How long, Adam, did it take for somebody to say, oh, it's no minus points if I jump up on the car myself and knock the ball away or catch it?
I think we were relatively at least a year into tournament play before that really became a thing. Because when it wasn't a tournament, when people weren't playing for medals, they kind of, I think, respected the spirit of the idea, which was don't damage Beth's
don't
car.
mess up the car, people.
Yeah, but once it's, am I advancing to the semifinals or not? Then it's, forget this. I'll take out the hood. I just need to knock the ball clear. So yeah, you know, best intentions don't always work out the way you really expect them to.
All right. So Susan and Beth, you've both been around the game since pretty much the beginning there, obviously. And this might be a leading question, at least part of it. But when did this become like a silly thing that Adam was doing to something that you thought, boy, this might have more legs than just something that my son or brother is just doing out there with friends?
I remember when Adam was coming back from ESPN and he was looking for work, he gave some of his videos to the people that he ended up working with. I don't know if I'm allowed to see their name on screen, but anyway, he gave some of his work to them, and he included in that a roofball segment. And I fervently believe that the reason that he got that job was the roofball. And that was, I think, when I first was like, you know, kind of looking around like, okay, this could actually be something. Like the sports people are taking this seriously, and Adam's really got a good product here. Like, what's going to happen?
I want to follow up on that by saying that in every grown man, there's still a little boy. And that little boy grows up, and everything is always a competition. But when the competition becomes more unique, I think that's when people really buy into it. And I think that's when I started seeing it happen, was when people actually started saying that they wanted to come and could they please be involved.
Those were good times. Yeah. 2007, 2008, as people saw it on TV, especially. And that people that didn't know us had no connections. I think, yeah, that's a good point. And just to answer the question, even though I wasn't supposed to, it was when Buddy in 2000 after the US Open said, you know, this could be something. That was the day. He's the reason in a lot of respects that I've stayed this crazy for this long. So thank you.
We're going to blame it on Buddy.
Good job, buddy.
Blame, give credit for, I'm not sure. It's somewhere in the middle there. Speaking of that though, so last year the video goes viral, Reddit boosts it like crazy. A couple weeks after that, the YouTube algorithm goes crazy, and you guys end up getting some media attention. So I want to start with Beth. What was it like getting that media attention, and how do you think you did in those spots?
I mean, I was stoked. The Sklar brothers in particular, that was really neat. Like, that was like, what is even happening right now. Like, these are people that play the Largo in Los Angeles a lot. Like, they know all these famous people, and then here they are saying my name like a million times. That was really cool. And yeah, aside from that, it was just, to be honest, there was a little fear in there because it was like, okay, this video is from how many years ago? Like, things have changed. And I was very nervous as to like how the crowd would receive me as, you know, however many years older I am now.
Well, Mom, you, I think ended up,
think
yeah, I think you gave 3 interviews to various media outlets. So
I did.
how did you strategize going into those meetings?
I
those
didn't
interviews?
strategize at all. I was just kind of dumbfounded by it. One of my former bosses actually saw one of the videos and commented to me on email. And I thought, this is, and then to have the moniker of the mom. That was the other thing. All of a sudden, I didn't have a name. I was the mom. Was really another thing that was a little sobering to me. Fun, but sobering at the same time.
Adam, you'll have to change her name on there to Mom.
The graphic, yeah, just the mom.
Yeah. So Susan, obviously hosting, you know, however many, whatever the crazy percentages of the Roofball tournaments has ever happened. What is your favorite thing about that day, that Roofball tournament day?
I think the excitement. I think the fact that the anticipation of what's happening, what's going to happen, people showing up, the smiles on everybody's faces. I think that's one of the most endearing things about Roofball. If you just take it to a level of caring, people come and they have fun. And there's no, there might be competitive issues, but at the same time, there's not anger, there's not malice. I don't think. It's fun. At the end of the day, everyone leaves happy, except for the losers, but they're the losers. So, you know, whatever.
And Bree Weber if Derek didn't win.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's got to be.
Luckily, that doesn't happen too much, huh, Adam?
That's very true. Beth, same question to you.
Seeing everybody, like, I mean, really, like the old school people getting together and being like, okay, there's Casey Campbell and Christian Burkess flies out. You know, it's cool to, you know, get the gang back together and eat burgers and trash talk and, you know, see what's happening this year. See if Derek can possibly pull out another win or if somebody's just gonna, you know, smack him.
So, Mom,
I think,
go ahead,
okay.
Mom, sorry.
I was going to say, I think the rhododendron bushes and the azalea bushes have taken the lump of the majority of the crashes into them, but at the same time, they're still alive. They're still going to bloom in another month. It's that kind of thing that is just fun.
Well, I think that you just got to one of the cons, and maybe do bad news first here, but what are some of the cons and some of the pros of hosting tournaments?
I think one of the cons is the fact that either my husband and or some other person has to come with the hammer and nail the gutters back on again sometimes. I think occasionally in the past 25 years, the top of the natural gas vent has fallen off 2 or 3 times, and then said 3 iterations.
I have 2 of them in my house, Susan,
yes,
if you need them back.
I know. One time recently, we had to actually put a container to catch the water because it was leaking from the cap that had come off. I think the pros obviously are, I tell this story, but it's still one of my favorite. We were having the roof redone a few years ago, and a person who had never even had no idea who I was or what was going on stopped me and said, "Can I ask you a question, please?" And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Is this the Roofball house?" And he knew it from his vantage on the roof that that's what it was. And he said late at night, he would watch the original ones that are still on, they're still on cable, I think, aren't they? Or on public access. Anyway,
they still can run them. I don't think they still do.
Well, he said that he would watch those and he knew that that was the house, but he was afraid to ask me about it. So all of a sudden the house was famous, and Yes, it is in fact the Roofball house, and he was so pleased. The other one was when one of the most recent competitions, and someone, I can't remember which one it was, that came from out of state, stood at the very end of the roof of the driveway and looked up and said, "This is the roof." And it was like a sacred place to be.
It's like we need to contact the city, Adam, about getting on a National Historic Register.
Yeah.
here.
Oh, I agree.
We're not there yet, but believe me, that's on the dream plans. Yeah.
So Beth, you kind of alluded to it earlier as far as, that the video that went viral is from 2008. It's been a long time. Since then, I mean, you've played dozens and dozens of times since then, but more recently, you've kind of transitioned over to sideline reporting. Not that you weren't doing it over a decade ago as well, but why the change? Why did you want to try your hand there?
Gosh, I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy seeing the people at the games, right? And what better way to talk to them than when you got a camera shoved in their face? It's fun to banter with people. It's fun to, it's fun to chat. And I think I think I do it pretty well. So it's fun to, have it filmed. I really liked the Keep Portland Weird one, because that was a very interesting, grouping of interviews. It was cool. Yeah. And plus, my arm's not what it used to be, man. Like, I'm trying to do a comeback at the next tournament, but let's be honest, like, when's the last time I was on a trophy? Like, I needed to do something to stay relevant.
It's not even a decade yet.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm sure Adam knows the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even a decade ago. You're fine.
Oh, nice, good.
And so, I thought your interview with the possum, I know it's hard to get through, but I thought that went quite well.
Yeah, I agree. That was the most fun.
Well, learning you
And the
spoke fluent chicken
and
too.
the chicken, yes.
I
the
do
fluent
speak fluent chicken. That is
Yes.
absolutely true. That's on my resume.
Well, so at various times you've been a player, you've been sideline reporter, and you've sang the national anthem. So rank those three roles in terms of the stress factor.
Anthem #1. It's a hard
No.
song, man. Player #2, sideline reporter #3.
So sideline's the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the text's going correctly, like as long as I've got, stuff in my ear, people telling me where to be and how to do what, I'm in. Like I'm on board. Like it's fun. I know the sport. I know the people. I know half the stats, so it's like, yeah, stepping up, and I'm like, okay, I know you, and I know your history in this game, and I know where you've been and who you've been with.
Oh, you know stats?
No, not stats like you.
Well,
obviously.
I was gonna say who took second in the 2012 RFA Cup?
You did.
Freddie Mercury.
Mom got it.
Oh, it was
Beth,
you?
did.
No, you.
Oh, it was me. Okay. Oh, that was when Christian and I had the toss off, right?
Well, no, not exactly, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
So speaking about performing in Roofball, Susan, at least on my screen, you're flanked by your two kids who have played, I'm going to guess, Adam, around combined 100 or so times in
Easy,
Roofball. Yeah. So is there any stress that your kids are doing this, or is it just all for fun? What are your feelings like when Adam or Beth is up there throwing?
I think as they get older, I stress out a little more about perhaps broken appendages or strained muscles or aches and pain. I don't know. I've never stressed about their winning or losing at all. I've always
sorry, go ahead.
I've always just been more, I think, concerned about their well-being, because sometimes that driveway is made out of concrete. If you fall on that driveway, it's not soft. And even the grass, grass is soft, but when you're of a certain age, all of a sudden it's not as soft as it used to be.
So you don't have any secondhand competitiveness when they're out there?
No.
Is there anybody in the field that you do cheer for more than anybody else?
No. My children, of course I cheer for my children more.
We'll edit that out, Adam. Keep going.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry, Derek. I cheer for you all the time.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
It's nice to
Speaking
hear. Appreciate it.
speaking of children performances, so we talked about it briefly, Beth, but 2012, the RFA Cup. By the way, this was not a super fluky event. It was an 18-player event.
Yeah.
You took second. What do you remember about that day?
Christian, the final game where I was like so close to winning and I didn't get to win. But I remember my arm started to burn out and I kind of stomped on it and wouldn't let it. And then I had a couple of lucky ones. And then yeah, facing Christian and getting my ass beat. But yeah, it was cool. It's the only time I've ever been on the big trophy. So it was a good day. It was a good day.
Was it a weird feeling? Like, obviously it's your first championship. You played probably a couple of head-to-head games before that, but what was it like just realizing that you were in the final?
It was more nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be, because I had taken the whole thing with like, whatever, it's going to be, what's fine. If I get the women's championship, yay. And then all of a sudden you're in the final round and you're like, oh, I get it now. I totally get it. Like, everybody gets all quiet and the trash talk ceases and it's just all about looking at the pole. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, I understand. That I get it.
Derek, you've been there 20 times. Does that comport with how you feel too?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you let yourself out of focusing on that, and the first time you're doing it is a little different, but there's times where you kind of take a second and step back and you're like, oh, this is a different level of intensity. Definitely the championship, probably the last, when there's the last three as well. Yeah, so I would say it's probably a pretty accurate description, that first time there. So Beth, as we said, first time and still only woman to make the top three. But you won 18 championships. So,
wow.
In the legacy of Roofball, you're way up there. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about your Roofball legacy.
I think that had I not been around, we may not have had a lot of the great players that kind of fill the history books. There was a time when it was the various trophies read often like a roster of Mom knows what it reads like a roster of my ex-boyfriends. It's like, okay, there's that one and that one and that one and that one. There was a joke for a long time that if you won the world championships, you got to take me home. Like,
oh yeah, that's right.
And I've got friends on there. I've got, exes. I've got, all sorts of people on there, family members, obviously. And so I think that my legacy is more than who I've been as a player. But I also will say that had I not been involved from the beginning, I'm not sure that women would be involved at all. Not to say that like, oh, the girls only came because I was there, but just the idea of girls being involved, I think, came because I was there.
Yeah, well, and to add to that, I think even beyond just the idea of, oh, women can play too, one of the driving forces to bring more women in was to make sure that you weren't winning championships for beating one other person. It was, let's make sure this is legit, get 3 or 4 or 5, or I think we've had as many as 7 in a tournament before. So that's a good point, but I hadn't thought about that. But not only did you sort of break the gender barrier playing in the '99 US Open, but your presence gave a significant incentive to bring more women to the table. So I think you're absolutely right.
I also think that in the past 25 years, things have changed.
No.
And there's more. Yes. I think more women have become involved and are more interested in it. I think early on, I agree with Beth. Had Beth not been involved, I don't think there would have been women early on. I think there would be by now.
Well, but spinning back even further, though, I think some of those women that maybe play today do so because they've watched videos and seen women playing then.
Yes.
So there was that example. There was, oh, she got a trophy for winning the women's championship. This is something I think I can do. I could take Beth. And then all of a sudden you got women
right.
showing up to play. So
Yep.
Beth, you're still the all-time leader in women's championships. Do you have one specific women's title you remember is especially dramatic or fulfilling or something like that?
I think you'd know this better than I would, but I think I've only beat Amy Dieterman like once.
Or maybe head to head. I think you've won more tournaments than that when she was there, but
But
yeah.
I think that was the most memorable. I'd say that the time I beat Dieterman, because girl's got a cannon, and she's you're saying that I've got the most women's championships, but let's face it, she's creeping up real quick. So we'll see.
She's way
We'll see if I
behind you.
hold
She
on
has
to that
17.
distinction for much longer.
She's way behind you.
She has 17. She's way back. Way back.
Way back. Yeah. Okay.
She's won 10 since your most recent one.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
But she's 2 to 3 years younger than you too. So
That's true.
So, Mom,
It's
do you, in the vein of Beth's, if she has a favorite roof ball win, do you have a favorite roof ball memory that you can pinpoint?
I think mine probably is the time when we were still filming inside and I was cooking. And I think it was Tom Sarah who had thrown it over, I don't know how many times. And when he came in, there's actually, I think there is a video of me saying, "Oh, Tom, not again."
Ah, jeez.
You throw it over, Tom?
Ping and then over.
Oh, Tom, I'm so embarrassed. It was so sad for him because he was trying so hard and he kept going in the backyard. That was also, wasn't that when you called it the cat killer, Adam?
Yeah, the cat
Oh, we
killer.
still do. Yeah. Yeah. When the ball doesn't hit the roof on the way over.
That it hit the cat. But I
because the
remember
cats aren't alerted.
I remember his coming in the back door just looking so defeated.
I'm sure he'll be glad that that's your favorite roof ball memory.
That's what you didn't say favorite. You said one that stuck with me. That was.
No. What do you have? What do you have a favorite?
Oh wow, a favorite. Gosh, no, there are too many. I mean, seriously, there are absolutely too many. I can't remember the one where the person won by diving into the rhododendrons. There was one very dramatic one where there was a dive and people were hushed because they didn't know if he was going to be all right, and he came out the victor. I remember that. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Dieter. I don't know. Did Dieter ever win?
No, but he broke his ankle once.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's not one of my favorites.
Oh.
No.
Beth, I'm going to ask both of you, but Beth, you first here. What are your hopes and dreams for Roofball's future?
Whew. I mean, I could see it hitting all 50 states. I know that there's already plans for international expansion. I think that would be really cool. I want to go to the Montana tournament. I like found out about the Montana tournament. I'm like, oh, that's the one. That's the one I want to go to. I think that the thing that I thought was cool in Southern California in that tournament, there were people that were walking behind the announcers, pretending like they didn't know they were going to be on camera and then like posing and stuff. And I was like, okay, like I would like to get lots of eyes on it. I think lots of eyes on it would be great. The Reddit thing was really like, it showed the potential. And now the question is like, how quickly can we grab the lightning in a bottle and do it again? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's my hopes and dreams, is that, it hits the national networks and people get very caught up in this charming little sport. And next thing you know, it's on national TV on the regular, or it's got a really big internet presence or similar.
Or a podcast devoted to it, something like that.
And Susan, how about you?
I would echo what Beth said. I just think that the growth of it, the quality of the people who are getting involved, the sentiment that continues to be, as I said, it's about having a good time. It's about enjoying life. It's about camaraderie and all of that goes along with it, as well as being competitive. But I think, just like Beth said, maybe the bringing different cultures involved, bringing different attitudes and how they're going to build a roof so that it'll be similar to our roof, and they're going to build it in a different state so that it becomes more competitive. I love it. I love that idea. I think it's going to be interesting to see another roof that's identical to our roof, maybe freestanding, but who knows?
I would have guessed you were going to say enough money to fix everything that it's done to your house, but that's fine.
We can
All right,
dream.
Adam, anything you wanted to wrap us up with today?
I think it's cool that we got actually 3 people on the podcast that are sort of, I would describe as existential parts of Roofball. Like certainly obviously without mom giving up the house and letting us throw footballs at it for 25 years, there's no Roofball. Without Beth getting a lot of those early players involved and being the first woman ever to play, taking on the sideline role, singing the anthem, all that, Roofball would be at the very least greatly diminished and likely long gone by now. And Derek, if you weren't there constantly making me feel bad about myself needing more championships, I might have just said, you know what, I got 7, I'm done. So thank you all for that.
I like how you left yourself out of that, but
Yeah.
okay.
If not me, someone would have developed Roofball. It's a naturally occurring thing, really.
Yeah.
Someone was going to do it.
Excellent. Well, Susan, Mom, thank you very much for joining us. Beth, always a
Thank you
pleasure.
for the
It was
invitation.
a pleasure.
No problem. All right, everybody. We will be back with another episode relatively soon. Everybody have a good one out there.